Okay, so in regards to my last video, some people, I guess, misinterpreted that and was saying that I was in fact disagreeing with Harley and Freelee, which isn't true at all. And there's been a few videos going around of late in regards to another video, but Sasha from Rice and Raw made a really great video the other day, basically just saying that everyone interprets Harley and Freelee's message differently, and I think that that is where people go wrong. Yeah, so, you know, the way that I looked at Harley and Freelee's message is pretty much what I said in the last video. You know, have majority of your caloric intake coming from carbohydrates, keep it low fat, not necessarily no fat. They have a calorie minimum that a lot of people disagree with. I know that they promote, I'm pretty sure it's 2,500 calories. And I agree with this, and I'm not afraid to admit that I agree with this. I think that is a great minimum, and I think that it's a good minimum for most people, because I find that if you're not eating enough, you're gonna fall off the bandwagon, or you're more likely to fall off the bandwagon. And that's why they set this calorie minimum, and they need to set a certain number of calories as a minimum, because if everyone just came from their standard American diet or their fad diet, you know, whatever diet they're currently eating, they would probably undereat. And I know I did that first when I didn't realize that they did recommend a calorie minimum, and I also wasn't counting calories initially. I don't recommend counting calories for like your whole life, but if you're first coming to this lifestyle, I don't think it's such a bad idea, because you don't realize how big the portions are. And I know for me, who is someone that had never counted calories before, I didn't even realize that, you know, 2,500 calories was such a large amount, and I didn't realize how little I was actually eating. So yeah, for anyone coming from a normal diet, they might struggle to, you know, if they're just going to listen to their body, they might only eat like 1,200 calories a day. And I think that 1,200 calories a day on a vegan diet is not sustainable. I don't think that's sustainable on any diet, but I think especially on a vegan diet, that is not sustainable at all. You're therefore more likely to have binges and go back to animal products. And that's the thing, Harley and Freelee's main message is about being vegan. You know, it's not just about carving up. Yes, they promote that greatly, but you have to remember that we're all vegans, and you need to do whatever you have to do in order to stay vegan. And that's what they're saying. That's why they want you to eat majority of your calories from carbs, because that's going to ensure that, you know, you've got energy, and that you don't get cravings, and you don't binge out, things like that that are going to make you go back to animal products. That's why they have this minimum, and I think it's a great minimum. I looked at the minimums for Thailand, and they recommend 2,000 calories for a 6-year-old and above. So I think saying that 2,500 for any adolescent, I think that's a pretty good minimum. And I don't think it's asking that much. I don't think it's that hard to meet. Yeah, so I do agree with Harley and Freelee. They also say a lot about having enough sleep, and I think that is so important in terms of your health. And they also talk about water. Everyone comes out bashing them, saying, oh, all they say is you have to carb up, you have to stuff yourself with calories, you have to eat until you feel sick. That's not what they're saying. You have to think logically about the stuff that they're saying. And I know it's hard with a lot of people coming to this movement from eating disorders, because they take everything literally, especially when someone's talking about what to eat and how much to eat. They take it so literally, and they will sit there and they'll watch every single person's what I eat in a day video, and if they don't see anyone eat fats, they won't eat any fats, and they'll have a fear of fats, and they'll think that it makes you fat, and blah blah blah. And you know, I don't blame you for being like that, because I was that person once too. But you really do just have to think logically about what they're saying. If you're sitting there and eating 5,000-6,000 calories a day and you are not moving, you are not doing a high carb, low fat vegan diet. You are just simply overstuffing yourself. And you are most definitely not doing Raw Till 4, because they also talk a lot about moving your body. Yes, Harley does talk a lot about cycling, and so does Freelee also, and they encourage people to get a bike and to cycle. And a lot of people that get a bike and start riding, they love it. They really do. But if you hate cycling, that's fine. You don't have to cycle. Cycle is just a great way to get in exercise during your day, because you can use it for transport. But if you don't like cycling, then you don't have to. They just promote moving your body, and that, we all know, is a part of being healthy. Again, you have to take into account your own personal self and your individual goals. If you have hormonal issues, you probably don't want to be exercising to the extent that they are. If you're still suffering from an eating disorder and not able, like not getting in enough calories, you're not gonna be able to exercise as much as they are. But the thing is that they promote getting majority of your calories from carbohydrates. I agree. They promote getting enough sleep. I agree. Drinking enough water. I agree. Moving your body. I agree. Like the calorie minimum. I agree. I agree, and I completely support and 110% back Harley and Freelee and what they are doing for people out there, animals out there, the environment out there. I 110% agree. I have made high carb, low fat veganism something that works for me. Freelee, for example, might eat a date shake for breakfast. That doesn't mean that I'm going to have a Durainrider for breakfast. But I have what I want for breakfast that stays within those guidelines. And again, they say things like guidelines. They say things like recommendations, not rules. It is not set rules. You have to, when you come to their information and their knowledge and the things that they're saying, you have to think logically. Like people who are eating until they physically feel sick and they can't move. That doesn't make any sense. Yes, you are going to gain weight from that. If you are seriously eating that much that you're literally a couch potato, then yes, I think you're going to gain weight. And another reason why people gain weight on this lifestyle, and people, oh, there's so many different views on this, but metabolic damage. I agree with metabolic damage. I went through and I'm still going through metabolic damage. It's a real thing. Is that the reason why everyone who tries to stick to their advice gains weight? I don't know. I don't have enough information on that. I think for some people, they are just taking some of the things that they're saying way too literally and just eating 7,000 calories and not moving their body. And that's taking one thing that they're saying so literally and to the absolute extreme, and then forgetting everything else that they're saying. That's where people go wrong. But as for metabolic damage, that could be why you're gaining weight, and that is why I think a large majority of people who come to Raw Till 4 or high carb, low fat veganism gain weight. I think it's because of metabolic damage, and the reason I say that is because so many people and the majority of population have had a past of restriction and dieting, and as a result of that, you go through metabolic damage, and I will stand by that. You know, that's my word. I completely agree. So Harley and Freelee, if it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't be vegan. I wouldn't have overcome my eating disorder. I wouldn't be in Thailand right now. I wouldn't be living my life. Like, I support you guys 110%, and thank you. Like, I have them to thank. I wouldn't be vegan without them. Yes, I do support Harley and Freelee, guys. It doesn't, as I said this in one of my last videos, it doesn't matter how you're promoting the vegan message. The fact that you're doing it is great, and I will appreciate anyone who is promoting the vegan message.